My name is Thaddeus Nebel. I'm a division trainee here on Division Foxtrot on the Schneider fire. We're here on Division Foxtrot working around some of the cabins and homes that are in this community, working on developing primary and secondary control line control features around this fire. So there are lines that we construct to limit the fire's growth should the fire ever get here. We have our primary that's constructed with dozer line, with hose, and laterals and nozzles there. And then our secondary here, as you can maybe see behind me, has sprinklers that are directly on the homes. And we've just come through the neighborhood and worked with some of these structures, pulling some of the vegetation back and cutting some of the things that are flammable and removing some of those next to the structures, and then placing the sprinklers in place and nozzles and developing some pump sites out here so we can get water closer to these structures should we ever have embers or fire come through this neighborhood here. So some of the specific things that we do around the structures is we look at is there some needles that have gathered along the roof and matted up, or are they in the gutter systems? We look at some of the eaves on the structures, or sometimes we have some vehicles around here that may have their windows open, or trailers. We've had a couple of those that have had vents open on the top of them and windows open on those as well. And so we close all that stuff up in case there's ember wash in the neighborhood. A lot of the stuff that we've moved away would be stuff like your lawn furniture that's outside, that's fabric based or plastic based, where we could get that around to the backside or maybe underneath something protective, or just moved away from the structure itself. Should that catch fire, we wouldn't want it to spread to the structure. So we've taken some of that flammable material and moved it away. But those are some of the things we look at. Also some of the needle mat that's around the bases of the structures. You know, some of these don't have a typical foundation that you would have on your normal home maybe. They're a lot older, and they're up on pier blocks, or they're up on logs and rocks even, and they've had some needles that have been able to get underneath and mat down underneath the edge of the structure. So we've raked out around some of the structures to kind of keep some of that, again, removing and giving some separation from some of that flammable vegetation around the structures. We've constructed some primary line that's up here on the ridge behind us. That's as far away set-off distance as we can from these structures. We've built that using dozers and a combination of dozers and hand lines where terrain allows, and then plumbed that with hose and nozzles up there. So that's our primary control line, and we place that as far away as we can from these to allow for some set-off distance. Then we've developed a secondary control line here where we've put hose and line. You can probably see behind me there's a little bit of dozer line behind me. That's a secondary line, and some of the sprinkler systems that we've put in here. We've also placed some tanks and pumps within this particular community here, and groupings of cabins where we have water that's easily accessible and or pumped directly into these hose lays here to spray water on the structure should we need to.